So this is what we call Locrian, and Locrian is relative to Ionian major in the same way that Ionian is related to Aeolian. They're both relative to each other. Again, if we're starting on C and going to D, E, F, G, A, B, C, if we started at Locrian with the same notes, it's B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C. See, they're relative to each other in the same way that any of these other ones are all relative to each other. The only thing that changes is the intervals and how those scales are built. All right? So those are the modes. That's how they're built, and that's how they work together. So now, what about the chords? Is that going to be confusing? Not really. Let's go ahead and start up here at Ionian, and we'll say that we're going to call it the note C. We're going to call Dorian D, Phrygian E, Lydian F, Mixolydian G, Aeolian, we'll call that A, and Locrian, we'll call that B, because that's what we've been talking about earlier, right? I didn't want to write those notes down there at first because the notes at that time weren't important. What was important is that you understand the intervals, okay? But now let's pick some notes. We go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Well, what's the first chord of a C major scale? It's a major. It's a major chord. So C major is the first chord of a C major scale. What's the second chord of a C major scale? It's D minor, so it's a minor. It's a minor. What's the third chord of a C major scale? It's also a minor. All right? What's the fourth chord of a C major scale? It's a major. It's a major. Fifth chord of a C major scale, it's also a major. Sixth note of a C major scale, that's a minor. And what's the seventh chord of a C major scale? It's a diminished. All right? So the chords for C major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. But most instructors, they won't teach you how to use the diminished chord. They're like, let's forget about this one for now, okay? And we'll just worry about all these other ones. That's probably pretty solid advice because when you do that, you'll see there's 3 majors and there's 3 minors. So it's a little bit easier to wrap your mind around this stuff when you look at it that way, all right? So those are the chords for C major. We got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. All right? So therefore, what are the chords for any Dorian scale? Well, just look at the chart here. The Dorian, doesn't matter if you're in D Dorian or if you're in A flat Dorian or if you're in C sharp Dorian or whatever Dorian scale you happen to be in, Dorian key that you're in, the first chord's minor. Second one's minor, third one's major, fourth one's major, fifth one's minor, sixth one's diminished, the seventh's major. What if you're playing in Phrygian? You don't have to start Phrygian on E, you can start Phrygian wherever you want, right? But your first chord is always going to be a minor. Second one's a major, third one's a major, fourth one's a minor, fifth one's diminished, sixth one's a major, and your seventh one is a minor. Same thing with Lydian. Any Lydian scale that you're playing, your first chord's going to be major, second one's major, third one's minor, fourth one's diminished, the fifth is major, the sixth is minor, and the seventh is minor. See why these are all relative to each other? If we're in the key of C major, it's the same thing as being in F Lydian, because F Lydian, it shares all the same notes as C major, and it also shares all the same chords as C major, except we're starting on F instead of starting on C. And if you're in the key of F Lydian, the emphasis of your playing should resolve to that F major chord. So whatever you're playing, it all resolves down and the emphasis is on the F major. Even though really you're playing all the notes and chords of C major, your emphasis is landing on F major because you're an F Lydian. And it works the same way with any of these. Like Aeolian, your A minor scale. Your playing is going to resolve to that A minor. You're still in C major, you're using all the notes and chords of C major, but your emphasis is landing on A minor. See, that's why these are all relative to each other. C major is relative to A minor, C major is relative to F Lydian. C major is relative to G Mixolydian. They're using the same notes and all the same chords. So those are the modes, and those are how they work. And it works the same way on the piano as it does on the guitar. You just pick whatever note that you want to start, play the scale, and play the corresponding chords for that mode. Hopefully that was a pretty good explanation. I mean, I really kind of nailed the way that these scales and these chords, they all work together and how they're all relative to each other. If someone says we're playing in the chord of, we're playing in the scale of, I don't know, let's pick Mixolydian, but instead of starting on G, let's say that they're starting on the note A, so they're playing A Mixolydian instead of G Mixolydian, all right? So if someone says we're playing an A Mixolydian, all you need to do is find the relative major to A. Well, A is the fifth of D major. So, therefore, all the notes and chords of D major are going to be the same notes and chords for A Mixolydian. Mixolydian is the fifth of Ionian, and in this case we're using an A, so A Mixolydian, A being the fifth of something, A is the fifth of D, D, E, F, G, A. Therefore, D major is all the same notes and chords as A Mixolydian. You can just transpose this stuff back to the relative major. If someone says we're playing in F Locrian, well, all you would do is transpose it up one note to the major, right? F Locrian is relative to G major. So whatever the notes and chords are for G major, it would be the same notes and chords for F Locrian. If we're over here in Phrygian and we're playing G Phrygian, you know that Phrygian is the third of Lydian. So if we go back from G to our relative major there, it would be E flat major. E flat major is the relative major for G Phrygian. So all the notes and chords of E flat major are going to be the same notes and chords of G Phrygian. You can just transpose all this stuff back and learn all these notes and chords and how they all work together. So I really don't have much more to say at this point other than just need to look at this a little bit, maybe write it down for yourself in a little bit, maybe a cleaner chart to look at. The really important stuff, though, is to get the intervals and see how those intervals work together, and then learn those intervals on the piano, but especially if you're a guitarist, you want to learn those modes on the guitar. You want to learn those whole step and half step intervals for all of these modes, and that'll really help you wrap your mind around your playing on the guitar and going through and understanding the different modes. So if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me any questions. I'll be happy to help you out. Have a great day. Thank you.